Sam Hinkie wrote a 13-page resignation letter that reminds me a bit of James Joyce meets Malcolm Gladwell. Justin, what do you think of how those words and how they came out and his mind in general?
Ding dong, the process is dead. Um, it's a lot. I think more than all the instability that we've seen from the Sixers over the last couple of years, more than the debates about whether or not they're ruining the game and all that, it really shows just how poor the morale, how poor the organizational structure is that they leaked that. Well, that one of the 13 owners that they sent it to leaked that letter. Um, I think that's terrible. He wanted to go out, have a public statement, address the team first, do it properly, and the organization didn't give him that opportunity. And if you listen to Wojnarowski, there's still a lot of people in that organization that believe in Hinkie, believe in the system,
Mhm.
appreciate everything that he did to collect assets. Um, the letter was poorly written, made him seem. You understand what people are saying when they say he always acted like he was the smartest person in the room, and there's nothing wrong with being the smartest person in the room. I would know all about that, but you just
What?
can't rub that in, right?
What?
I cannot get through
I
doors.
am the Sam Hinkie of this show.
Wow. Um, okay, Phil, getting back to the actual process itself, was it in any way working, or is this the type of thing that it really takes years afterwards to really see with full vision?
Listen, I think you can ask anyone, including Justin. I was one of the bigger proponents for this system. I think if you're going to play in the NBA, you either contend or you're terrible and you collect assets. Look, would I have drafted the same way he drafted? I don't know. I think the Joel Embiid had he not gotten his foot. Look, with any process, there's a whole lot of ifs. But had he stayed healthy, I think we'd be looking at this very differently. Like if we were walking into last year's draft, having a healthy Noel and Embiid as a front court that everyone's just gawking over, and then you
Mhm.
have that pick where you can take a where you can be like, well, maybe I don't need to go Okafor, maybe I can go Moody, maybe I can go Herzonia, maybe I can go whatever, or maybe I can go Kristaps and somehow think that that's going to be a tall lineup. Um, Look, where they were when he took over was a terrible team with terrible contracts, and they weren't going anywhere. They had lost a lot of draft picks. They didn't have a lot coming forward. They have a ton of draft picks coming forward. Their future is bright. Look, I don't like that their top three assets are all centers, but they don't have a lot of contracts. I know Philly's not the biggest free agent destination, but they have some young talent that if the new GM can kind of play this right, can bring some nice guys. They have two could be top draft picks this year, depending on how it falls with that Lakers pick. Plus, you have future stuff. I mean, if a team is not going to contend and you want to rebuild, it's tough to say that this is not the best way to go. I mean, yes, I would have gone with Kristaps over Okafor, but I don't know if I would have made many other moves. I mean, his moves of taking bad contracts and making teams pay for it by taking on picks was genius. I mean, the only people I feel bad for were the fans, but he did spell out the process, and I mean, it's tough because I don't know if everyone agrees with that. I mean, people want entertainment, but at the same point, if you're looking to the future, long-term Philly fan, I look at the tenure of Sam Hinkie and I'm I'm glad I hired him. Our team is literally better set. Like I'm not saying better overall talent, but better set now than when he took over.
Justin, not that it's the most similar situation, but when after Brian Colangelo left the Raptors, I think his moves kind of came into fruition. You know, re-signing DeMar, drafting JV, getting Lowry. This stuff, it really sometimes takes years down the road to realize how much a GM meant to an organization. Do you think Jerry Colangelo is going to try to bring Brian in? According to Woj, they're working on it right now. And do you think that's a good fit?
No, I don't think it's a good fit. I think they're going to do it. I think the nepotism is going to happen there, and he's going to bring in Bryan. Um, Brian Colangelo does deserve some credit for drafting DeMar, bringing in Jonas, bringing in Terrence Ross, although it should be said that there were better options than Jonas and Terrence Ross. It could have Drummond, could have Kawhi Leonard,
and Andrea Bargnani.
And Andrea Bargnani. That was a little rough. But he did do some good things. It's just like with Colangelo, it always seemed like every good move was followed by at least 6 steps back. There was never the right supporting cast, and what we see with the Raptors now, this product that Masai Ujiri has put out, has good role players that bring out the best and support these guys that Colangelo did bring in, which is something they never did before. So I think I get what you're getting at. I think Hinkie's put them in a good position for the future. I think outside of Minnesota, there's not a lot of teams that have a brighter future, at least out of the bottom feeders, to turn it around. They have tons and tons of picks. It's just unfortunate that comes in this draft, which is a weak draft, which, again, you need luck if you're going to rebuild, but they have tons of assets. If it's Bryan Colangelo managing those assets, though, I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing. The thing is, I never understood why Hinkie's thing is considered so revolutionary and why he thought of it that way. Basically, you just need to have an ownership group that's willing to take on money or pay money, essentially, to get draft picks, which is something Chris Grant did in Cleveland. He would take on Maurice Spates, Wayne Ellington, guys like that to get first-round picks. Took on Baron Davis's contract to get the pick that became Kyrie Irving. So it's not exactly something that's new. I would have liked to see Hinkie get to ride this out a little bit more. I think the Philly organization undermined him. I just wanted to see when he flicked the switch, because the teardown of the asset acquisition is the easy part. It's building it up and building it properly. That's the toughest thing to do, and it is a shame. I wasn't the biggest supporter of Sam Hinkie, but I think it's a shame that we didn't get to see whether or not he truly succeeded or failed at the rebuild once he's actually trying to build.
Phil, the biggest what if of the Sam Hinkie era, let's call it, in Philadelphia, is Joel Embiid. Do you think this guy's actually going to pan out?
I'm the eternal optimist, and I see his workout videos. I think if he ever comes back, he can be one of the most talented centers on that team, if not on a lot of teams. I think he does it. I think it's tough to say because he's gone through all these injuries, but I think his last one in the setback came back a bit too early. I think they realized what's going to happen, and I secretly think that they're banking on Embiid and that Okafor is not part of that future. I know a lot of people may disagree with me, but I really think that they view Embiid as their guy of the future, and I don't think you put this much effort. I mean, you do because it's a draft pick and it doesn't cost you a ton of money to put him in rehab, but I don't know. I don't think you leave that cloud hanging if you have those other centers who you may want to have as your franchise. I can see him coming back, and it's tough because I can understand why 99% of the people would not see it, but I'm looking at my crystal ball, and I think he's their franchise center going forward.